Impact theory was really born out of me working in the inner cities a lot. So it started when I was 18 and I big brothered for a kid in South Central Los Angeles. And he was this amazing kid, but his frame of reference was very limited. And he didn't believe in himself. He didn't believe that he could do extraordinary things because no one ever believed in him. And then flash forward 15 years and I'm running a company called Quest Nutrition that I'd co-founded with my two partners. And at one point we had about 1,400 full-time employees and another 1,500 part-time employees. And about 1,000 of our employees grew up hard in the inner cities. And I'm talking like one guy held his stepfather while he bled to death from a gunshot wound to the head. Another, his sister was shot to death in the heart with an AK-47 in his front yard. And just like literally countless stories like that. And I began to realize again that sense of like these people are extraordinary humans, but they're not going to do anything with their life because they don't believe that they can. And so I was like, how do you give people a growth mindset at scale? And we started an interview show where I could bring on amazing people and ask them, like, how did you become successful? And that works, but it only works for about 2% of the population. And the other 98%, how do you reach them? And I realized that Joseph Campbell and Yuval Noah Harari are both right. And humans are meaning-making machines. And the only way that we can make sense of our world is through narrative. And so if I wanted to help change people's belief system at scale, it's going to have to be through narrative. So that's how impact theory ended up doing both nonfiction and fiction. Clay is the ultimate technophobe. So he is the most famous person in America, and he got famous on a show essentially like Cops, where they're hunting down people with illegal technology. And that's his whole life. And there's an emptiness to him and a sense of being lost. And so even though he's rich and he's famous, when you're doing it from a negative place, you're doing it from a pessimistic place, you're attacking other people, like you literally rob yourself of humanity. That's just true in real life. And so we wanted Clay to start there. And ultimately, this is the hero's journey of a person who's going to at least try to find himself, to overcome that negativity, to find something beautiful in the world and in himself that he wants to create. And whether or not he succeeds in that, that's the ultimate question that we want to ask with the plot. What you're going to see in terms of ongoing issues is him struggling with the sense of identity. Who am I if I'm integrated with technology? Who am I if this thing that I built my identity around hating and destroying and tearing down, who am I if it's the only reason that I'm alive? And who am I if people that have that technology show me kindness? What does that mean? Was I wrong to hate them in the past? Am I one of them now? Am I still somehow different? And finding his place in the world, and ultimately whether or not he can find his power by making his potential manifest. And that to me is the central question that all of us in real life have to answer. You know, as humans, we have this extraordinary potential, but not many people do anything with the potential. And so the book is going to ask and answer that question. Will Clay actually develop his potential? That has been incredible. So first of all, he's just insanely artistic. So his ideas are amazing. His visions, his creative process, to be a part of that is just really exciting and fun. He's easy to work with. He has no ego, which is kind of shocking. But he and I actually got to know each other for about a year before we decided to work together. So that was part of the reason I wanted to do the project with him, is because he's fun to be around. He's fun to work with. He's an extraordinary collaborator. And then honestly, he brings so much attention to the book that has been a major win for us in terms of getting attention as a young publisher. So not only do I not have complaints, working with him has been one of the most extraordinary pieces of my creative journey thus far. So yeah, very, very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So Steve and I brainstormed the idea. We had sort of the rough outline of where we wanted to go in the first arc. We knew what the world was going to be like. We knew that Kita was going to be modeled after Nelson Mandela, somebody who's searching for this third way. So the most amazing thing in Long Walk to Freedom is that you really see Nelson Mandela in real life struggle with options. So option one, if you're oppressed, is to stay oppressed. Option two is to become the oppressor, which they of course could have done in South Africa because they were the majority. But he believed there was a third way, which was to find harmony between the races and to destroy apartheid, but to do it not through violence, but by just showing people that you're selling your humanity to keep somebody else oppressed. And so I think once people understand that that's where we were going, that's what we were trying to model this after, is to create that third way, I think they'll really see that present in the book. So we had that, and then going into it, you need a narrative, you need other characters. You know, we didn't want Kita to be the central character because you get into like branding issues. We didn't want people to think this is a vanity project. Steve really wanted to tell an amazing story that really had an opportunity to change people that encounter it. And he knew that if he's out front, if the story's about him, that it just won't have that kind of impact. So he's extraordinary in that way of being able to set the ego aside and say, you know, what's the real goal? How do we want to touch people? What do we want the story to do in terms of impact? So that was really cool. But we just had the shell. And then we brought on an amazing writing team led by Eisner Award-winning writer Jim Kruger. And then we have some very talented writers sitting just off to my left here who also come from the TV world, working on a show called Night Flyers. And it's just been an extraordinary collaboration. I am extremely techno-optimistic, and that was originally what Steve Aoki and I connected over, was being excited about the future, being excited about technology, looking at becoming a cyborg and thinking that it's cool, and seeing that technology and humanity could come together and not just coexist, but actually merge. And so when I think about the future, I think it is absolutely inevitable that humans and technology, especially artificial intelligence, begin to merge. And I think that's the thing that will allow us to evolve very rapidly, and will also allow us to not be taken over by robots and artificial intelligence, because I just think that we'll come together. And I think that there's a symbiotic relationship that will exist between humans and technology, and that's the future that we want to paint.